Clerk, please read the statement.
This is the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Vernon for Monday, January 30th, 2017. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 26th, 2017, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1024-7.
Roll call.
Councilmember Kadesh.
Here.
Councilmember Holmes.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Here.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Here.
Council President Murphy.
Here. Will Councilmember Rizzuto please stand?
Would you please stand and join with us in the pledge to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple proclamations this evening. The first one is cervical cancer awareness in the month of January. Will Councilmember Owens please read that?
Cervical Health Awareness Month. Whereas cervical cancer is a disease that strikes 12,000 American women each year, and whereas cervical cancer most often affects women in the prime of life, and whereas regular cervical cancer screening tests are effective in detecting the disease early when it can be effectively treated, and whereas cervical cancer vaccines are available that, together with screening tests, provide a formidable and effective means of preventing this disease, and whereas increasing awareness among patients and healthcare providers alike regarding the best use of these prevention tools is a key component in safeguarding women's health. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Township of Vernon do hereby proclaim January 2017 as Cervical Health Awareness Month and encourage all our citizens to recognize that cervical cancer is preventable and to encourage and support the women in our lives in taking charge of their health and availing themselves of the tests and vaccines that have proven so effective in preventing cervical cancer. We have the means to prevent this disease. It is incumbent on all of us to ensure we have the will to do so. January 2017, Cervical Cancer Awareness Month in Vernon Township.
February is Special Olympics Month. Will Councilmember Wetzel please read that proclamation?
Whereas the Special Olympics is founded on the belief that people with intellectual disabilities can, with proper instruction and encouragement, learn, enjoy, and benefit from participation in individual and team sports, adapted as necessary to meet the needs of those with special intellectual and physical limitations. And whereas Special Olympic events provide youngsters with individual challenges and the inner satisfaction of success and accomplishment. And whereas the Special Olympics have been competing in Vernon for 3 decades, and genuine Jersey pride defines Special Olympics New Jersey, which celebrates the impact they have on all who participate, as well as those privileged to witness the magic every time an athlete with an intellectual disability takes to the slopes, reaches a goal, achieves a personal best time, or simply experiences the joy of participation. And whereas Special Olympics help each youngster learn to play hard, compete to the fullest so as to achieve a successful cycle and overcome the pattern of failure and frustration that often plagues mentally challenged youngsters who have not yet had the opportunity to play, practice, compete, and achieve. And whereas the Special Olympics helps each youngster develop self-respect, self-discipline, self-confidence, physical, social, emotional, and mental fitness, positive values such as sportsmanship, responsibility to the team, and respect for others, the will to succeed, and the ability to achieve their maximum potential. Now therefore, the Council of Township of Vernon do hereby claim February as Special Olympics Month in Vernon Township. And we thank the participants of the Special Olympics for choosing Vernon to hold their events. Given under my hand in these free United States and the Township of Vernon on the 23rd day of January 2017, and to which I have caused the seal of the Township of Vernon to be affixed and have made this proclamation public. Harry J. Shortway, Mayor. Gene Murphy, Council President.
May I have a motion to open the floor to public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone that would like to address the council with a comment? Seeing no one come forward to address the council, do I have a motion to close the public session? Second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you. During discussions with Mountain Creek involving water and sewer, they informed us of a possible water study grant that Vernon was eligible for during the previous administration. We researched this matter and found that Vernon was eligible for an $80,000 water use and conservation management plan grant since September 15, 2015. The prior administration did not apply. This administration is engaged with the Highlands Council regarding issues of water and economic development. Council President Murphy, Councilperson Ohms, Environmental Commission Chairperson Michael Fury, and I met with the Highlands Council on January 17th. Why is this important? Vernon was part of a pilot analysis of net water availability. The results were delivered to the former administration in August 2015. Vernon was found to be in need of a deficit mitigation strategy plan. But the sub-watershed studied was Highland Lakes. Highland Lakes is densely populated in some areas, and it must be noted that billions of gallons of water are removed from this area to supply the city of Newark, and the water is not discharged back into the area. If we are to develop our town center in the hope of creating services, jobs, ratables, and EDUs to stabilize MUA rates, water is needed. Both Mountain Creek and our township require additional water capacity and the infrastructure to deliver the much-needed resource. This study is required to develop strategies. We met with the Highlands Council. We discovered that Vernon is also eligible to apply for a $20,000 Sustainable Economic Development Plan. Our engineer and planner are tasked to explore these opportunities. In addition, Margaret Nordstrom, who is the Executive Director, New Jersey Highlands Council, provided the following. The Highlands Council recently released the first components of their current Regional Master Plan, RMP, Monitoring Program Effort, a Fiscal Impact Assessment and Regional Factbook. The Fiscal Impact Assessment serves to analyze how the Highlands Act and Regional Master Plan may have influenced the economy of the Highlands region. Both documents are available on the Highlands Council website. The Fiscal Impact Assessment provides analysis of a wide range of economic and fiscal data for the Highlands region and for comparison regions in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. It evaluates ways in which the Act and the RMP may have influenced the economy and fiscal resources of the Highlands region municipalities. This is a service we will utilize to develop future strategies for growth. Another meeting is scheduled for February 1st. In 2011, the township was hit by Hurricane Irene. The township went through a series of FEMA reps who gave various misinformation about how to receive reimbursement for repairs. The township submitted to FEMA acquired expenses for the reimbursement for the township and the various lake communities under the Kelly Bill. The township and qualified private communities were denied substantial reimbursement. The former administration submitted an appeal in December 2014 and received a partial reimbursement in September 2015. The township was seeking approximately $250,000. Although the former mayor received the FEMA response in September 2015, he did not make it public or assign anyone to begin working on a second appeal. In November 2015, after the election, about a week before the 60-day deadline to file a second appeal would expire, his staff was tasked to begin working on a second appeal. Realizing there was not enough time, the CFO, at the mayor's request, filed for an extension of time with FEMA, requesting a deadline of January 10th, 2016. The former administration neglected to continue to work on this important matter and simply passed it on to this current administration with the deadline of January 10, 2016. Upon taking office, I immediately created a team and got to work on this issue, but it was clear that 10 days was not enough time. The township sought a second extension until the end of February. It was granted by FEMA. The township attorney, engineer, administrator, State Office of Emergency Management, CFO, clerk, and myself, along with members of the lake communities, met for approximately 87 hours working on this appeal. This is in addition to the work we all did to prepare for these meetings that included writing and drafting arguments, engineering analysis of road repairs, road repair collapse, etc. We then submitted our response in February by the deadline. We received FEMA's response advising us we are denied. They did not review our analysis, but simply claimed FEMA had no right to grant an extension. I have contacted Congressman Gottheimer's office for assistance, and we are going to pursue this matter. The MOA has approved our sewer connection permit for this building. The township never hooked up to the sewers, but we have been paying for the EDUs. We are using the septic system. For several years, we have been flushing dollars down the toilet. We are now advertising for bids to complete the hookup within the next several months. Another matter, the Sussex County Open Space Committee approved $20,000 to be used in support of the purchase of 9 Wisteria Court. A resolution will now be presented to the freeholders. Our township code establishes a Department of Recreation and Community Development, and that this department shall be headed by a director who shall be appointed by the mayor with the advice and consent of the council. I desire to appoint Michelle Downton to the position of Recreation and Community Development Director. The Department of Recreation and Community Development is undergoing transition. Ms. Downton's interpersonal, organizational, and time management skills have played a key role in maintaining a positive work environment through the many challenges resulting in greater overall efficiency. Ms. Downton has established a positive and productive working relationship with all agencies that collaborate with the department, including but not limited to the Vernon Board of Education, Vernon Police, all sports organizations, Vernon PAL, Sussex County Senior Services, and local businesses. She is also coordinating efforts by the GAC, Senior Citizens, and Recreation Committees. The Art Committee will also be added to this list with the Council's anticipated approval for the Arts Committee. A portion of the Director's previous duties have been allocated to the PAL administration. Ms. Downton is required to coordinate the PAL programs with other township programs and committees. Currently, Ms. Downton's duties exceed that of her civil service title and pay scale. Prior to this administration, the department consisted of 2 full-time employees, the director with a salary of approximately $65,000 and benefits valued at $30,000, and a full-time aide, salary $30,000, and another $25,000 benefit package. Total salaries and benefits equals $150,000. With this appointment, salaries and benefits equal $70,000. Add $25,000 for the PAL contract for a total of $95,000. A savings of $55,000 is realized. I am requesting that the council consent to Ms. Downton's appointment to the Director of Department of Recreation and Community Development. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 28th, 2016, and the regular meeting minutes of December 12th, 2016?
I have a correction on the second one.
December 12th?
Yes. Page 6, I think it is.
Page what?
Page 6. Top of the page. It states something about the sale of my private home. It wasn't my private home, it was my tenant building. And with that amendment, I make a motion to approve.
So you have to make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second?
Roll call?
Councilmember Keating?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes. Items for discussion. This matter was carried from the November 28th meeting. We received a brief update from the association. Is there any discussion regarding this matter? And this is pertaining to the Brook Hollow Bridge. Is there-
Based on the letter received from Mr. Zaretsky, it seems like they are moving along as fast as they can. Right now, we have about, hopefully, no more than 4 or 5 weeks left in the winter. So I would move that we continue to extend the delay.
Well, we voted down the ordinance last
Yeah.
year, so there is,
We
I mean,
continue with that stance.
I basically think we should be out of it at this point, because, I'm just looking at what he did right. He said, "We are taking responsibility for the bridge repair, and we'll have it completed by the end of June,"
Right?
which we put on the record at our last appearance. The repair of the bridge is in the best interest of the owners of Brook Hollow. So, and we will get it done, and I assure you, in the shortest possible time frame. As far as I'm concerned, I think that what we did was try to get them to get to this point, and now that they're there, I don't really think the town has any business in it any further. If anybody else have any?
I agree with you. He's done everything, and we've done everything. Now it's a lot of red tape.
And now it's between them and the county. So, state, county,
Yeah,
both? Good luck.
I know you have a copy of our application filed with the clerk, but I also made copies in case anybody's interested.
Since you've made them,
Thank you. Is it them out?
Sure.
131 pages. And they're reviewing it now. So hopefully all goes well and we get to work.
Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Resolution 1736, part-time...
Wait, sorry, pull out.
Well, I just want to read
You're
them.
going to, oh,
I
okay.
got to read them first.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead, sorry.
Resolution 1736, part-time employees are not in the union. This resolution authorizes a pay increase for our part-time 9/11 dispatchers. Resolution 1737. Resolution 1737, 1738, and 1739 authorize the canceling of the taxes for 2006 and 2017 for a totally disabled veteran pursuant to federal statute, and authorize a refund for taxes for 2016 that were already paid. Resolution 1740, Fireman Ferry is already a member of the Firemen's Association but is transferring his affiliation to Vernon Township. Resolutions 1741 and 1742 authorize change orders decreasing the paving by $28,895.15 and increasing the line striping by $326.04 for an overall reduction of the project of $28,569.11. Resolution 1743 authorizes the application for an alcoholism and drug abuse. The PAL will match these funds in kind and with services. Resolution 1744, this will be the fireworks display for the Special Olympics. 1745, creates an advisory committee for the promotion of the arts in Vernon. 1746, the township will achieve a cost savings by offering alternative health care plans. This provides the opportunity and incentive to offer the same. Resolution 1747, active firemen in good standing are allowed to apply to the New Jersey State Association with township approval. This authorizes the application of Jason Alba. Resolution 1748, a $20 refund is due for this property due to overpayment in taxes. Resolution 1749, the township employs a tax appraiser. This awards the contract to Holzhauer and Hollenstein. Resolution 1750, the township has a vacancy in the office of the Director of Recreation. This appoints a new director. Resolution 1752 authorizes the promotion of a bingo and raffles for several dates between February and April. Resolution 1753, the township is entering into an agreement for ambulance services for the township in times when the township squads are unavailable. The service will be at no cost to the township and will employ soft billing for users, meaning the service will only receive what their insurance pays. If no payment is made, the service will not be charged back to residents. You had, Councilmember, you said you had a comment on one of them in 1746?
No. Yes, but that can wait till the end. But if you could pull out 1750 and discussion.
And 1753?
1753.
Are there any other resolutions besides 1750 and 1753? To be called? May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 1736 through 1749 plus 1752?
Motion.
And I'm excluding 1750 and 1753.
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second?
Roll call?
Councilmember David?
Yes.
Councilmember Long?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wenzel?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. You have discussion on 1750? Is there any discussion on 1750? No?
I would personally like to see a table for a discussion. It is a personnel item.
Do you have discussion on it?
I don't think it's something that we should discuss.
Oh, no, but I don't think anybody had discussion, that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm
If
just
you
saying.
need more
that-
time, I'll support that and table it if you need more time.
Yeah, I would like to discuss it with the council and the mayor. It's a personnel item, and I think we should, a few questions I would like to have answered.
Would you like to do that now? We can take it, I mean,
Fine with me.
okay. We can do this.
Let me see it. We'll look at the resolution quickly. I don't see,
1750.
there's no reason not to now. I mean, unless you wanted to do it. If you want to do it in closed session, you can, but you're certainly not obligated to. You're more than welcome to have the conversation.
Well, just if Councilmember Rizzuto would like to do it in,
You're welcome to do it now. That's
It's
fine.
personnel item.
okay. We have a motion to go into executive to discuss this?
Well, we haven't advertised for executive, so it would have to be at a later,
Okay.
Next meeting. Saying next meeting.
saying next meeting, unless you want to discuss it out here, you're welcome to.
I have no,
I don't want to discuss it out here. I think we should wait till the next meeting and discuss it prior to that. Or litigation, doesn't it?
You want to make a motion
lot of money.
to
Table
table
it.
this till next?
It's a 60%. Make a motion to table this. Got to be a discussion. Make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
February 16th?
Yes, prior to, following a closed session
An
at that
executive
time.
session?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Councilmember David?
No.
Councilmember Coons?
I'm voting yes to table.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes?
Councilmember Wenzel?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
No.
Motion carries to table to executive session for February 2027.
Resolution 1753. Mr. Volker, give us a little rundown.
Sure, Council President. In June of 2016, I contacted the members of the 2 ambulance squads in Vernon and asked for a meeting. They came to the meeting and voiced their concerns that, similar to other communities in this area and throughout the state, they were having a significant amount of difficulty in having enough volunteers to provide the emergency medical services consistently in this municipality. They suggested that we start looking for alternatives as soon as possible, and I promised them that we would do that. What we decided to do was to meet with the two health providers in this area who handled medical services in the area, which are Atlantic Health and St. Clair's. I had meetings with both of the entities from those organizations, along with the members of both first aid squads, in order to get an understanding of what the services could be provided to this community, and also for the members of the first aid squads to let the organizations know what they were looking for. The members of the first aid squad were unanimous in stating that their difficulties are that they cannot always get the required people to service the community particularly on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. We then asked both of the organizations, Atlantic Health and St. Clair's, how they would go about providing that service. There was a lot of discussion and feedback given, and during the course of these separate interviews that were conducted in November, it was decided amongst the members and myself that we felt that St. Clair's was the best choice for this, for a couple reasons. Number one, that they were willing to promise that they would be able to assign an ambulance that would be kept in Vernon on those days during that hours and not pulled out for mutual aid. They also promised that they would be able to provide another mutual aid ambulance if in fact the calls were necessary for it. Atlantic was not able to promise either of those things. The feedback also from the first aid squad members were that the communication between, and I don't mean to get too technical, there's a difference between the basic life support services known as BLS that the squads provide and the advanced life support services that are provided through either Atlantic or St. Clair's, known as ALS. And they felt that the communication was always better because all the ALS services came through St. Clair's. In other words, they're paramedics, so when you had something like a CPR, a heart attack, or some other serious call that the ALS paramedics would be responding to, that the communication and the coordination was significantly improved for the members of the squad when they were working with them. So it was recommended that we choose St. Clair's. So subsequently, I contacted them and asked for them to put together a contract. Now, they were informed that this would be probably very short-term, and we were going to explore other options, but they said that they would, we could set up a contract for whatever period of time that we wanted, that they, in addition to doing the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as has been requested, that they would provide services if, in fact, they were given advance notice that perhaps the members of the first aid squad were not able to provide services on any other weekday or even a weekend if that should happen. In the interim, when we had this meeting in November before Thanksgiving, they pledged that they would be able to be the mutual aid responder to the township, and they have done so ever since that time. So when the volunteers were either tied up or were unable to respond, that the police department was instructed to contact the dispatch for St. Clair's, and they would send a unit here as quickly as possible. So that was the genesis for doing this, that it came from the volunteers themselves saying that they were having difficulty. But by the same token, they felt that by having these 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, covered by St. Clair's, that it would allow the volunteers who, from all feedback I've gotten in the 10 months that I've been here has been excellent for many years, that it would freshen up a lot of their volunteers, because they were so stressed out from trying to get enough people to constantly cover those days, which were the most difficult in particular. So we're hoping that can be achieved, and that that the members who have dedicated a lot of service to this community for a very long time will try to continue what they can when they can, and I'm sure they will. If you have any other specific questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
I do. Will this be around 24-hour? So if they're on call servicing our town, Wednesday, is that for 24 hours?
No, it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
To 6.
Those are traditionally the toughest times for any community to try to get volunteers, whether in Vernon or any of the surrounding towns or throughout the state.
Right, the problem is the day cruise. They can't get
Exactly.
the day cruise.
Yes, sir.
I know that for a fact, so.
Do you guys think you could put something maybe on the website and possibly in the paper so the residents know?
As soon as it passes tonight, it'll be on tomorrow.
And let me ask you, so it's soft billing, so they're going to be asked for the insurance to pay?
Yes.
And if insurance does not, then,
I was told that there would be, the initial billing, and that whatever they would likely take whatever the insurance provided. They will not hold the township liable for any payments of any sort as well, and that's stipulated in the contract.
And where will the ambulance be stationed?
We're working out those logistics also. Once this goes through, I know that both of the squads had stated that they would be willing to share their facilities in order to do that, but I'm trying to get what their preference is going to be.
Is there a problem insurance-wise and doctor-wise going across state line?
There can be. In emergency services, it doesn't matter that much, and if whatever the call was beneficial to get to St. Anthony's in Warwick, then they will do that. That's something for the insurance companies to work out. The most important thing is that the residents of Vernon are given the best care as quickly as possible.
Now, in some hospitals, your family doctor cannot intercede. It's the hospital doctor that takes care of the patient. In other words, my family doctor, he works out of New York, okay? So he would be able to treat me if I were to ask to go to that hospital, but other doctors may not be able to.
Well, one thing that's stipulated in the contract, Councilman, is that whenever they can, they will try to take the patient to whichever facility that they are requesting, unless there is a situation where they feel that the medical attention needed is more emergent, and perhaps go to a facility that's closer.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion to adopt Resolution 1753?
motion?
Second?
Second?
Roll call?
Councilmember Koenig?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Carried.
Introduction of the first reading of proposed ordinances. Ordinance 1701. The state has set a cap or limit in the amount of spending the municipality may make on items in order to keep municipal taxes low. The cap bank or reserve allows that if a municipality does not spend all of its limit in a given year as allowed by law, it may bank or reserve that amount for future years up to 2 years. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1701 with a public hearing to be held February 16, 2017?
Motion?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Koenig?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. Ordinance 1702. This ordinance authorizes the auction of the property commonly referred to as the Faline Building with an opening bid of $90,000. The auction will be held on March 13, 2017. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1702?
Question. I know normally we do not discuss an ordinance on the first reading. However, I just question whether or not it might be advisable, since what I'm going to suggest may take some time, is that this is going to be the second auction on this piece of property?
In this administration, I believe the former administration did, and then the administration before that also tried to auction.
Yes, it's more than...
My understanding, is it my understanding, or is it correct, that should this piece of property again fail to get any bidders, that you then have the right to negotiate directly with anybody?
That is my understanding.
Would it be not better for you to have some type of assistance in the form of a professional appraisal for the piece of property, rather than just go in unarmed, in terms of not knowing exactly what a professional might consider the piece of property to be worth?
I was hoping market would determine the value of the property, since it hasn't gone, and it's a blight, and...
Well, I don't know if it's blight. To me, I understand what you're saying. It doesn't look the greatest. But if, in fact, people are looking to possibly obtain ownership, but they choose not to bid because no one else is bidding, to drive the price down, I think that's a possibility that might occur, and if only to allow you to go into private negotiations. If in fact there is no bidder on the next auction, you would have that information available to you.
Excuse me, Councilman,
If
I believe the attorney...
If I may just interject, the rule about being able to enter into negotiations after something is not sold applies to personal property, not real property. As I sit here today, I'm not aware of any equivalent law that says if it's not sold in public auction that you can then begin private negotiations. We'll certainly double check that, but I just want to make sure that as you're considering that, I'm not sure that that's accurate.
The issue I have with this property is that it's been, I think the first time it was up for bid, I looked up today, was in 2011, it's February, March, it was $398,000 was what it was put on for. The town paid $420,000, but I believe that may have included property behind it where the road came in. And that property sat there all these years. We've collected nothing on it. The last bid, and I think, I'm not even sure if it was up for bid at the last administration. I know there was a lot of discussion about it. But we had it up for bid for $100,000, and nobody came forward. I did make some phone calls just to ask, is there anyone interested? Because we have many properties around the town center. If you look around, what we hear from people are, we need water, we need sewer, we need water, we need water. When you go and you look at all the properties that are in what people are now calling the town center, we have 11 properties that do not pay taxes. And we have the Faline building, the Board of Ed owns 2 buildings, the fire department has their building. They also have the 2 lots that are for sale on Main Street. So if those lots ever sell, those are potentially, something could be built. The VFW, there's 2 churches, pay no taxes. However, one closed, so in about a year, I think I checked with Lynn, she said they can use that for about a year as storage. But after that, I guess unless it reopens as a church, or maybe if they sell it, that could go back on the tax rolls. Then we have the municipal building and the DPW. As a matter of fact, back in 2011, there was talk of selling the DPW, which never came to fruition. So we're looking at a town center where we're getting a lot of public asking for water. Now, if we bring water there to the tune of, what, $2 to $3 million, we're looking at 11 properties that are not contributing towards the water, to the paying of it. If some of these properties were to sell, if the Faline building sold, if the fire department's 2 lots sold, and if the Board of Ed sold their buildings, they are vacating the one building, I believe, as long as that reconfiguration goes. I mean, I went to the Board of Ed meeting. they're talking about possibly giving a building to the Historical Society. It's not their money. It's taxpayer money. And I mean, to have the town, I mean, we're in dire straits here. And to have people just look at this and say, I'm going to give it away, I mean, that's crazy. But, and I happen to have, by the way, the Board of Ed, we have the one building, it's almost a half acre, it's assessed at $320,000. We have the other one that's .64 of an acre where they're in now, it's assessed at $660,000.
Well, certainly, if you're
But
telling me...
I'm just saying is, look at now these assessments are high because obviously there's no taxes paid, so they've never been addressed. But we have the Faline building, one way in, one way out. The building has to be raised. I mean, whoever buys that,
Building has to be raised?
they're going to take it down. They're going
Take
to.
it down.
It's going to cost about $20,000 to take it down. So anybody that buys it has to spend $20,000 to take it down. If they took it down today, I guarantee you, come down the hill, you're certainly looking at a lot better of an intersection looking at the Lakeland Bank than looking up at the boarded-up house.
You're telling me that people are concerned and want water. If the water were put through on Main Street, I would think that it would affect the value of that particular building as well.
Well, it could, but to what degree? But at the same...
I think it's better we find out.
Well, but right, but what I'm still saying is we still have 11 properties.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm just bringing up a point, too, because it involves the Board of Ed, it involves the Faline building, it involves the businesses that are there, it involves the fire department selling their lots. So we're all in this together. But, you know, I mean, we didn't get a bid at 100. I mean, if we were, and I agree with you, it depends on how much the appraisal costs, because we certainly don't want to be spending $10,000 on an appraisal. But
Maybe,
having, even if the price were lower, you could get multiple bids. But, you know, right now, we're just chasing our tail. We're not doing anything.
If I may
maybe the permit-
interject,
I was going to say, maybe we can loosen up the permit to give somebody 90 days to have their permits in place to build. If they were to buy it, might be unrealistic. So maybe we could loosen that up, might help. I'd like to see us try to sell it and get the most we can before we drop it any lower.
Well, like I said, we have tried at 100, and we didn't see, and I agree, you know, there's
And
people just
maybe-
sitting waiting for it.
I agree. I'm simply saying that if in fact what I believe to be true, our attorney here would have to check, but my understanding is that the mayor, under our form of government, can enter into negotiations on behalf of the township following 2 rejections or non-happenings at an auction, that in fact it would be better for him to have some idea of where, you know, somebody could come in and make an offer, and he would have an idea of what he could expect and what he could not expect.
We would vote on that contract. The mayor, right, I'm just saying, as Councilmember Rizzuto is saying,
To sell the property?
if that's the case, we would still have to vote on it. So
You still would, but I would like to know
It would still have to be an ordinance.
what in fact the value of that property might be.
I'm just clarifying that it's not something the mayor could do on his own.
No,
Right.
true.
But, I mean,
I've discussed this with a number of parties interested in that building. The biggest deterrent, and we're going to have to address this sooner than later, is the median. On 515, everybody says it hurts the town center, and we really have to proceed to the county and get the median off our road.
Would be more marketable if that would happen. And what about marketing the auction, when we do decide to have an auction, in the papers, other papers other than the Herald?
well, Max Span is doing an auction, Max Span is doing an auction for properties in the town, and that's something that they could probably add to.
Yeah.
Could they
I'd
add?
have to see with the contract with Max Span, whether it's strictly for foreclosures or if we can expand beyond that.
We don't have a contract? We don't have a contract.
There we go.
So it's something that could be included, because that, you know, I mean, that's an option. But to sit and do nothing for another
Not
6 years.
suggesting we do
No,
nothing.
and I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying in general, to sit and do nothing for another 6 years. I mean, it was, you know, here I've had people asking about the Schottmeyer building. I called him. I said, what are you doing with it? He leases that to Luke Oil. I believe that lease is up this year. That's been sitting there for forever. So, you pull into town and you're seeing all these, boarded up buildings. The mayor suggested, he said if we ever did put water down 515, it could be a good time to pull up that divider. But like I said, I've been hearing about water. I've never heard anybody in the prior administration, they spoke about water. Nobody ever brought anything forward except for the CBS. Do we just want to table this at this point?
I make a motion to table this at this point.
What are we tabling? What are we tabling?
Well, I think, what would be the plan to find out about whether or not Max Span would,
What's,
how do you want to...
I haven't asked for a motion to table, I'm just asking for for the mayor to seek an appraisal, professional appraisal on this prior to any movement in terms of trying to enter into negotiations should a second auction fail. Well, actually, before we go into that auction, I mean, why would you go in with a reserve at 100,000, say, and the professional appraisal says, no, this is a fluid market. I wouldn't put that house on the market, that piece of property on the market for less than 175. So, I mean, to me, I think it's worth the township. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't enter into negotiations and say, listen, we can't get 175, better a bird in the hand than not,
Yeah, well, has an appraisal ever been done on it? Because I know prior administration, we talked and talked and talked, and no one ever did anything with it.
I don't recall if it has.
And in 2011...
But I do know that we did have auctions in the prior administration. The results were the same, but we didn't,
I
think we only had one.
They advertised an open house. No one came at one point. I think that was in 2011.
What did we do to advertise this, other than the for sale sign and the ordinance and the notice in the paper? Was there anything further done with the marketing of that? And on the website? Okay. All right, so
Trying to save money and not increase costs, and appraisal is going to probably be $2,500 to $3,000.
Well, I guess we could explore some options. Explore some options as far as the cost of an appraisal? So we'll table this then?
Okay.
all right.
Till the 16th?
I agree to that. I'll make a
Will you
motion
make
to table it.
I'll second it.
The 16th.
Yep.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to table ordinance 1702 until February 16th.
Appointments. Resolution 1751 appoints Kristen Wheaton and moves alternate Edward Seeger to a full member of the MUA. Okay, yes, I didn't have it. It appoints Kristen Wheaton as alternate one and moves up alternate Ed Seeger to a full member of the MUA. May I have,
Excuse me, Chris, Sam, I'll make a motion.
can I have a
Second.
second? Roll call?
Question. Kristen Wheaton, the way I read it, she was moving to a regular seat.
You have
Is
to
that a
address it.
regular seat, or?
There was a change made, we're going to move her up to she'll be the alternate, and Ed will move up to a regular seat, because he's been there longer.
Yes, I know that.
So that's what I'm proposing to the council.
All right. So there were not two seats open?
No, there's only the alternate seat. When Ed moves up, that seat's
Okay.
open.
All right, fine.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rizzuto, second by Councilmember Kadesh.
Roll call?
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt 1751.
Kristen is here, so maybe she might want to get sworn in tonight.
Yeah, I don't have the oath here, but I could swear in after the meeting, if you have the time.
Good.
Council comments. Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes, I'd like to go back to Resolution 17-45, the Arts Advisory Committee, which I think for this town is a home run. And I'd like to go back to the advertiser of this previous week, in which Senator Arrojo is sponsoring this varsity letter bill. In fact, I was in touch with his press secretary today, setting up an appointment with the senator and a man by the name of Jeff Victor, who is the state chairperson of DECA, which is the Distributive Education Club Association. And he is very interested in talking with the senator, again, about this idea that there are other kids in high school that are not involved in athletics. We have the robotics team that's getting contributions from businesses in town here. We have the theater. We have excellent plays being put on by the theater group. We have band concerts. Our band is ranked #1, I think, in the state, or close to #1 in the state. They've been in the St. Patrick's Day parade leading it. They've been out to California, marching in the parades out there. Our art students win awards constantly, and we don't publish anything. We're like sterile. You know, we've got to get culture in town. And this art committee, if the band shell ever comes into reality, I think you're talking a home run here. I think you're going to see SRO crowds that wherever we put it, whether it be on the flats, whether we put it at Maple Grange where we have the lights, etc. And I think Senator Rojo's on the right track, because again, you know, not everybody can play football or baseball or basketball. There are a lot of talented people in this town that are not involved in athletics. So I hope this bill passes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes. You just earlier made comment about the necessity of water and the availability of that resource on Main Street in order to promote growth. And I hearken back to about this time a year ago, when the MUA came to council and wanted to proceed with a study. I believe it was 15190, or I'm sorry, 16190. And that particular effort was suspended. If you look at the way the structure of the amortization schedule is set, you're going to be looking at increasingly higher payments for the users. And it was specifically designed that way so that as new users were brought on, when the higher amounts came due, you would have a greater amount of users to share in that increased cost. For whatever reason, the council moved to spend $10,000 on a study with Remington, which has yet to be presented to the council, which I've read, and I find that I didn't learn anything new. And certainly some of the contentions that they make, I can't find them, I don't understand how they can justify them. Mayor, you mentioned about wanting to save money. I don't know why we had to spend $10,000 on this when all we had was our own MUA looking to provide us with information in the form of a study. Without the increased users, without the study that could possibly show where additional sewers would be required, either in the Main Street area, coming up 94, going out 94 in the McAfee area, we are at risk. I believe, Mrs. Murphy, you said we're in dire straits. I agree, we are in dire straits. This township is in a spiral, and it's not going up, it's going down, because you're not going to get additional construction in private residences. Too many acres of this township are under the control of the Highlands Act. The only way we're going to see any relief from an increasingly higher tax rate, tax levy, is by having commercial entities assume the responsibility that have been shouldered previously by individual residences. I believe we're probably at something like 90% homeowners and 10% commercial. If I'm wrong by 5% either way, fine. But we can't continue like this and hope to have a township that has any chance of growing. And I'm going to ask once again to have this motion, this resolution rather, move forward so that our MUA can proceed with the study. It does not cost anybody anything. It simply goes out and obtains information. Why are we afraid of information? Why are we afraid of being confused with the facts? I don't know. But if we're going to hear anything from Remington at $10,000, I want to question them here, not just see something that's been submitted to us in writing, and I want to be able to see how we can go forward. There's just too much at stake. Secondly, a while back, I think maybe about 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a little bit more, I read that Blairstown was given a kit by one of their residents, a company that sold these kits as skating rinks. I thought it was a great idea. You're not putting children's life at risk by putting them on lakes where you have to have somebody determine whether it's safe or not. It's an activity that I think could be placed at Maple Grange, at the Great Lawn. You have the availability of lighting. I think it's something that the township can benefit from. Not only children, but adults who want to go out and see if they can remember how to skate. And I don't know how expensive it is. It didn't seem to be too expensive. I certainly think with the basis of what has to be done, some type of support system with a heavy-duty plastic and then filling it with water, it's probably something our own DPW, working with our fire departments, we can possibly do it ourselves. And I think it's something that perhaps the mayor might want to look at and see if it can be tasked towards the recreation department.
Mr. Rizzuto, we already have a member of the GAC and Recreation Department investigating that. We saw that. They were actually before that newspaper article. And I'm also having a meeting next week just with Skylands ice rink to see their input of any temporary. They reached out for me to have a meeting with them also. So it's already in the motion to make this for next year.
Okay. And thirdly, while I understand it may be, to someone's thought that it would be in their best interest to meet with private entities such as water companies, again, I can only point out that we work under a strong mayor form of government. I don't see the benefit. I don't see the necessity. I don't even know if it's legal for the members of the council to take part in individual negotiations. I, for one, did not know that Mrs. Ohms and Mrs. Murphy were involved in any negotiations. I would have thought that I, as a councilman, and anybody else, should be able to at least be aware of having these meetings take place, so that if there were any questions, we could submit them to the two who are taking part. I don't even know if it's necessary. I believe it's your responsibility, Mayor, and you bring that back to the council. I think this type of situation incurs confusion. And at this point, I want to be at the next meeting on February 1. And perhaps maybe Mr. Wetzel might, or maybe Mr. Kadish. And yet, I don't think I should be there.
There were no negotiations. This is getting facts, where we stand, and what wasn't done in the past, and what we have to do in the future. And I believe they are your subcommittee for water and wastewater.
Well, I didn't receive any report on it.
Well, then ask the president and the subcommittee, because they are your representatives. I'm trying to be transparent and bringing the council in so they understand what's going on, and they can
Before
bring
you try
back
to throw us under the bus, I think you might recall that you did send an email out.
Oh, about the meeting?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep
No,
all
I'm
the
just letting you know,
information.
you did. You asked me if I should do a recap or should you, and I said it was your meeting, you should do it, we were just there listening, and you did send an email.
Okay.
So, just to clarify.
Well, okay, I still think it's worth noting that under this form of government, council people do not converse with members of the working staff, your staff, anyone at all concerning the performance of their duties. It's not their responsibility. And that any type of negotiations are fact-finding. I think become the purvey of the mayor. Now, if we're going to change this, I think this is something that has to go before the public.
You want to, is that it?
Yep.
Councilmember Owens?
Okay, just a few quick comments. On Resolution 17-46, the alternate health care plans, so I guess we're going to see a savings. I was wondering if maybe as people sign up or change their plans and you calculate the incentive, you could formulate some document to demonstrate if the savings occurred. I'd like to see how much savings this all comes out to be.
I have that amount with me.
Oh, did they already sign up and this isn't?
They have to sign, well, it's, the incentive's not in place.
Yeah, wait till the incentive.
I mean, now that you voted yes, now I have it calculated if it passed, so that we would be prepared. People signed up, it was, their time period, the open enrollment period was only till January 15th. So everybody signed up for this year already.
Did they know about the incentive before they chose their
Well,
health care plan?
they knew that it was possible, but they didn't know that they knew it had to go to a council vote. So some people signed up saying, I'm going to do it anyway because I'm saving on my contributions. And some people said, I'm going to wait and see if the council approves it and I'll do it next year. So the people that did sign up, there were 12 people that switched. And it's a net savings to the town is $54,000 after paying the incentive.
After pay, okay.
Is the incentive a one-time deal, or does it go from year to year?
The town has the option to renew, to change it, to keep it, to change the amount, or to take it away from year to year. That's how it was written in those contracts.
Excuse me, I have a follow-up on my previous comments. Has a copy of the Remington Barrack report been sent to the MUA?
Yes, I did last week.
All members received a copy.
I gave it to their director. He can do what he wants with
You
it.
got it, everybody got CC'd on it.
Well, I know we got copies. I'm asking if the MUA did. Thank you.
That's their decision to do.
I went to the MUA meeting and I just told them to ask for it. Okay, so my next subject here. Let's see. It was brought to my attention that the crosswalk over by Mountain Creek is out. I don't know who communicates with them. They said it's very difficult to see the skiers cross at night when that blinking light that says walk is not working. So they thought it would be a hazard, people trying to cross. And then again, just reiterating the press release for the ambulance.
Councilmember Kadish?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Do you have any comments?
I do not.
You do not. Well, first of all, what I'd like to do is I'd like to address Councilmember Rizzuto's comment on Resolution 15190, with the MUA. If you recall, there was a lot of misinformation that was provided to the town and the council regarding that, and that came from the health department, which in turn came through the MUA regarding on the number of failed systems. So that actually was a huge problem. When you speak
There was
about...
a correction, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that was a little late.
There was a revision.
It was a revision. When you talk about expanding the sewer down to McAfee, right now those businesses are hanging on and they're doing fine.
I didn't say expanding down to McAfee, I said where they think that expansion should go.
That's what the resolution entailed, was Route 94 corridor into McAfee all the way to the Hardyston border.
As well as other areas.
Okay, we should be addressing the issue we have right here at hand. Mountain Creek needs to rebuild that pump. They're the holdup. Mountain Creek needs to rebuild that pump station. That's where the holdup is. Their plans as far as what they're trying to achieve, their goals, they're changing because of different regulations that they're entailing. That's where the holdup is. It's really not up to everybody else in town to start to connect, because all that will do is decrease what Mountain Creek owes. That agreement in 2012 was detrimental to the town and to the people that are connected to the sewer, because at that point, Mountain Creek owed 100% of the shortfall. Now they only owe 63%. That should have never happened. That's where the big problem started, besides the fact that the sewer ever went in. So as far as attempting with that Resolution 115-190, that just brings the study down to another end of town that really doesn't want it at this moment. We need to concentrate on the mess we have right here.
The Mountain Creek agreement, they're responsible for 166,000 gallons and haven't used it. That's their side of the bargain. So
Yes.
they need to step up also.
Yes, but until, as any business, they're not going to put a shovel in the ground until they find out if the infrastructure that they require is going to be available. Second,
They
Well,
have
but
it
that-
already, they
but-
have the infrastructure.
but that's the
except
problem.
pump house.
They
That's the
want-
only thing.
This council, the MUA, and this council should have been enforcing that agreement. They were supposed to have that rebuilt by July 1st of 2013. Nothing's happened.
They hindered their own infrastructure by not correcting that pump house, so they can't build because they didn't do that part of the bargain.
And the
I mean,
pump-
that's what I look at.
Well, the pump house is not being built because they don't know what size it should be. Well, they need to decide what size it's going to be so they could build.
they probably don't know what they need until we give them some idea of what kind of sewer requirements they have against what they're going to plan and what we are going to be able to
They
provide.
need to worry about themselves. They're 166,000 gallons. That's what they need to worry about, not everybody else. And they
Let me
need
tell you
to.
something. They're the largest taxpayer in town. They're paying close to over $1.3 million, I believe. Or if I'm not exactly right, it's darn close. And if you're going to start fooling around and holding feet to the fire to the extent that they're going to have this, this, and this, you know what? Businessmen don't like that. They can simply walk away. Then you make up the $1.3 million.
Don't
Mrs. Murphy.
point, that's so rude.
No, I'm not
It's
rude.
rude.
I'm simply
It is
pointing. No.
But the whole point is, that's their
I don't know
obligation.
why we don't want to have a study done.
That's their obligation, and they need
Not
to uphold to
provide-
it.
It does not create any type of a plan that has to be adopted. It's simply the presentation of something that the MUA is finding out and would present to us. To me,
The MUA spent $1,900 on recording equipment to record a meeting downstairs at one of their meetings. I'd be a little it's a little scary to think what they would be spending money on.
Let me ask you this, the study they want to do, what other variables are they bringing into the study? Maybe I'm they're going to go and ask if they can expand to a certain area. But what other information are they bringing into this study? Like what evidence, what
Why don't you let them do the study? They're the
that's not a
professionals.
study. That's not a
You have
study.
yes, you have an engineer there, you have the auditor, you've seen the amortization schedule. If something isn't done by 2023, the current users are going to be paying almost
Excuse me,
$2,700.
we understand that, we understand that. Actually, this was
No, you
this
made
was
up
my
a-
comment section, excuse me. This was really my comment section. And I was just readdressing what you brought up. I do not agree with it, because all you're trying to do is spread this craziness to another section of town that we really don't need to go to. We already have an issue. Mountain Creek needs to build their pump station. They need to figure out what they're going to build so they know what size the pump station is. Now, as far as Councilmember Ohms and I attending the water and sewer meetings, if the mayor invites me to attend the meeting, we did already discuss whether or not Councilmember Ohms and I were going to be part of this. And we were part of going to the meetings regarding this water and sewer. It's my time, I'm taking it. If I can go sit there and listen to the professionals and hear what they have to say, I'm not getting the information second and third hand. I will sit there on my time, I'm not being paid as a council member, and do it. Councilmember Ohms is just as interested in it. If you're not interested, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I can't be at that activity while you and Councilwoman Ohms are there because of a quarrel, because it would be a quarrel.
Exactly, but you know what?
At least then you should begin to issue a report, or at least give a call.
There is no. And actually, what I'd like to go back to is on April 15th, 2014, there was a water meeting. The night before, Mayor Marana asked if any council member wanted to come to the meeting the next day for United Water. And guess who showed up? It was me. Was anyone else there? No. You could have been at that meeting. That was the last time I was invited.
Perhaps I was unable to attend.
Just letting you know, if I'm invited to a meeting and I can attend, I go.
I think doing so is not the way this government was supposed to run.
Oh, well, if the mayor is...
And not only that, I respectfully request notification that these meetings are taking place. I am an elected official, just like Mrs. Murphy, just like Mrs. Ohms. And I will continue to speak out on something like that if I feel that I am being ignored.
Excuse me, but the mayor does not have to report to you if he's having a meeting.
It's against, to me, it's against the law for individual council members to have information withheld from other council members.
I didn't withhold anything.
I did.
You certainly were at that meeting.
Mr.
I was
Rizzuto?
not there.
Did you not get the email I sent that I recapped what went on in that meeting?
Suppose I wanted to be at that meeting.
You would...
That's between the council to discuss, but I did recap the
That's
meeting.
the point.
I sent
Actually-
all five of you
That is the
an
point.
email what went on at that meeting.
That's the point.
But actually, no,
advise
I
you.
think, Mr. Rizzuto,
All of us can be there. There shouldn't be any type of special arrangements made.
there were no special arrangements. Councilmember Ohms and I have shown interest in going and addressing and listening to the meetings of the sewer and the water. I'm the council president. If the mayor reaches out to me and asks me if there's a council member that would like to attend a meeting, then I can reach out to the council members and ask whom I think has an interest. As a matter of fact, when the Highlands Council meeting was taking place, I reached out to Councilmember Ohms. I ended up also going because I had the time, so I drove to Chester. I drove my car, my time, to Chester to hear what was going on. Why? Because prior administration took whatever letter he got and threw it in the trash and didn't address it. So you know what? I'm going and I'm listening to it firsthand. Why? Because I'm also an elected official, and I'm here put also by the people to do it. So I'm doing my
I'm an
job.
elected official also.
Well, you should have been doing your job in the prior years then.
I did.
Well,
As a matter of fact, a number of times I suggested what you should do, and you said, absolutely not.
right, what? By passing Resolution 15190?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And I should hope that the people who are the current users, all 1,600 of them,
We could
would
just talk.
come and make their displeasure known, because in 2023.
You're right, they should make the displeasure known that actually the council in 2013 didn't hold Mountain Creek's feet to the fire and make them replace that pump station. So you're absolutely right, the people should come here and put the council's feet to the fire, but for that very reason.
And for the 2012
The pump
contract.
station is not the issue.
Yes, it is.
Pump station, the issue that I'm talking about is how do we get more users on?
Without the pump station, Mountain Creek cannot build anything. So they're holding themselves up.
I certainly don't think that Mountain Creek is going to do anything to jeopardize their business. Perhaps,
You're right, they're not doing anything to jeopardize their business, which is why they're in a stall pattern.
until they find out exactly what kind of additional expansion they can count on.
Because they're in a stall pattern.
Caused by themselves.
Yeah, caused by themselves. We're not stopping them. People think we're stopping Mountain Creek. They're stopping themselves.
No, on the contrary, I think you're doing the one that's
No,
stopping.
I don't think so. You just want to spread out the cost so Mountain Creek doesn't have to continue paying as much as they are. You want to spread it out to the rest of the town.
On the contrary, I think that's your that's your intent, Mrs. Murphy.
No.
I think it's your intent to do away with the MUA and to make it a utility and spread the cost over the rest of the township. That's what I believe you're...
Oh, really? Really?
Yep.
Really? Guess what?
If I just
Guess
can
what?
add
Vernon
one thing here.
Township, I just have to say this one thing. Vernon Township is responsible for the debt.
That's right.
That's right. Vernon Township is
amend it.
responsible. So don't try to lead people to believe that
But
if
you
we
can-
turned it to a utility, all of a sudden Vernon would be responsible, because we already are. So why don't
On
you
the
just say what it
contrary-
is?
On the contrary, you cannot spread that amount over to the people of the community. It can only be passed on to the ratepayers.
Not true.
Not true from what I understand.
If I could just
Well, I'm
interject,
telling you, then you better start talking to people who know.
Yeah.
I think one of the keys here
Sure.
is expanding the water infrastructure down 515, which we've been working on for over a year. A lot of things were not done in the past, we are doing them now.
When can we expect it, Mayor?
You're probably looking,
Excuse me?
you're going to have to go through DEP approvals now. You got the allocation to worry about. You have to worry about where you're going to put a water tank, everything that I've discussed before in my memo. The way to do it is bring water. We're going to auction those 3 parcels of land that was supposed to be an old firehouse or a new firehouse built on, because I'm, without other people in the council there, negotiating with other people, their interest in coming to Vernon. Also where the Wings property is, and below that, we also own property. So the idea is to bring water where the sewers are to get real development.
That's right.
This is not done overnight. It should have been done years ago, and we are going forward on bringing this water. And I hope I'll need a supermajority when we go to bond. I'm going to need at least 4 of you to vote for this. That's the way we can start alleviating the problems. Mountain Creek has new ownership. We are working with them. The prior ownership, they promised 1,500 condominiums and 664 EDUs. They gave us 7.5. So it's going to be the water's the key. They did not answer to their obligation. The new owners, the Kaufmans, understand this, and we are working with them to alleviate these problems. They are going to be forced to pay almost $600,000 the end of this month and March 1st. They get it. They understand it. We are in constant communication. But I'm not going to let everybody know what the negotiations are, as you say. But we are in negotiations. The water's not going to happen overnight with all the studies we have to do. Thank you.
So I just wanted to also mention that administration will be looking into the cost of possibly bringing something like permitting issues, maybe dog licenses, fire inspections, automate this. So if you were applying for your dog license, you could just do it online and pay for it online rather than have to come here. If you were applying for a permit at the building department and it was for a water heater, and you knew it was a water heater and it was an electric water heater, you could apply for it online, pay for it online. You wouldn't have to try to call the building department. You wouldn't have to visit the building department. Also, being able to check whether or not your permit is available, whether it's ready, whether or not you have a scheduled time for the inspector to come. So there's various things that could go on. Also, where it's beneficial is in the fire inspector's department. I know when the employee takes lunch between 12 and 1, there's really nobody to address this issue. So if homeowners are able to go and apply, pay their $70 online, which is something they can do as long as they don't have any open permits, it's done. Nobody has to come here. It would certainly save on administration having to look to hire any additional part-time employees.
It's a great idea.
So, and I think tomorrow, there's a conference call. I think tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Yes, there is.
For that, they have a conference call tomorrow at 11 o'clock. By the way, for those that do not know it, when you do apply for your dog license, they now want the owner's date of birth, which actually is just additional information that would have to be redacted should the clerk have an Oprah. So it's additional information that's really not needed, and it's just being collected so if there's people with the same name, that they can distinguish between them. Something else I think we need to do is revisit the ordinance for sign permitting. Our zoning officer, like today, we approved a resolution for signs. You have maybe the school or something, they come in, they want to put up signs around town, 10 signs or so. The zoning officer should be allowed to just get their permit and give them the permission to put up the signs without having to come to the council. Because some of these signs today, had our meeting not been canceled because of ice, they would not have had their permit because we wouldn't have had this council meeting, because they actually showed up after the 30th, or after the 23rd. And one of the more important things to consider is budget meetings are coming up. And what I was proposing is we possibly have budget meetings prior to our February council meetings, whether or not the council is in favor, because we would have to probably set 3 additional days aside, or we could attempt to have budget meetings maybe starting at 5:30 and allow the mayor to schedule some of the department heads to come in prior to a council meeting and have the budget meetings here, and then just go right into our council meeting. So I'm just, is the council amenable to that? I mean, on February...
If you're going to kill a day, might as well just kill one day.
On February 16th and 27th, if we could possibly have the budget meetings at 5:30. And then also, because I think Mayor said we will have the budgets on Friday,
We're going to try Friday. There's a couple more numbers we're waiting for.
so we should have it. And then possibly schedule March 6th meeting. By that time, we should be able to give back some recommendations to the administration. So it's just on March 6th, that is a Monday also. Is there a time that the council would like to meet? We could meet at 7:30, or we could meet earlier. It's not a scheduled day. That's on a Monday. Would you like to meet at 5:30 also on that? On the 6th?
Later would be
Earlier?
better for me, because I have other obligations in the afternoon.
Well, we can make it earlier.
Earlier won't work for me.
Do we need-
Like 6:30. 6 or 6:30 would be better on Monday.
On the
That's March?
March
March
6th.
6th.
6 o'clock?
6.
March 6th at 6?
Councilmember Murphy, you all asked for a executive session on February 16th, so do you want to start at 5 instead of 5:30 so that you have enough time to do your executive sessions as well as have your workshop?
Well, would we like to do that at 5? Well, that was about the employee we
All
were
right, I was just
discussing.
thinking, are you doing we would have to start out here, do the resolution, and then go in? Okay, that's fine.
So do we want to, your question is on the 16th, do we want to start at 5?
Right, give you half an hour if you feel that'll be adequate time to
Is that,
discuss this issue.
is that good, at 5 on the 16th? And are we going to do 5:30 on the 27th? Or for consistency, do you want to make them both 5?
Which date?
We'll make the 16th and the 27th both at 5 o'clock.
All right.
And then on the 6th,
Just so you know, the 27th I won't be here.
okay.
I'll be in Pennsylvania.
And then on the 6th, we'll start that at 6 o'clock. So we have 2 at 5 and the one at 6.
What's the date that the budget has the last date? Did they extend the date for approved budget?
The budget needs to be given to you from the mayor by the meeting after February 17th, the latest. It needs to be introduced by the meeting after March 17th at the latest. It needs to be adopted, I believe, by April 17th, no, April the 24th meeting. That second meeting in April is the latest it could be adopted.
And the final item I have is that administration met with rebel companies and interviewed them, and the council all received copies of the proposals as a courtesy. The administration will be bringing back their recommendation as to which company that they would prefer to go.
One question on that. Have you made any calls to the previous townships or townships that that your company that you're going to offer?
Yes,
Find out how that they've done?
they did. I actually asked if,
Yes, sir.
and because I actually did too. The business administrator asked me if I would sit in on them, so I did. I was there for the bid opening, then the next meeting was to discuss them, and then I sat in with the interviews also. And because they thought it would be a good idea, I was able, as a Realtor, able to address some of the vacant home issues that are out there, because we do have many vacant homes. So, but I did actually reach out to some of the towns to get some of their feedback as to why they used different companies, so that's all I have. Motion to adjourn?
It's been made.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.